Hey everybody, Brian Hunt here with you again. In this one, I am going over freelance payment problems, issues, and some tips on how to make things easier or how to manage things a little bit easier. So going into this, guys, if you're working as a freelancer or you're running your own business, even large businesses, cash flow is typically one of the hardest things to manage within any business of any size. And usually the smaller you are and the less capital you have behind you or times you have to be able to float yourself, this is when things can get even more challenging. And I just want to give you guys some tips, things that I've experienced and things that have happened to me in the past, to help you guys along this road, and so you don't run into some of these pitfalls that I've had before as well. So one of the things that you probably know already, or if you're invoicing people already, is trying to get deposits. Deposits on people, a lot of times people have them written into their contracts. Myself, especially with larger jobs, we will do a 50% deposit before the job is happening. Sometimes I like to get, or all the times I like to get that before the job, actual day of production. But sometimes there's been cases where I haven't, and there's been holds up on these things because of different companies' policies and terms and all these things that become very tricky. Now, where this has caused some issues for me personally with my own business and with myself as a freelancer billing to other people is, one, communication. Two is not having that cash flow at the right time to pay people. So a scenario would be, I am producing a job, I'm going out for a commercial job, it is my company's doing it, and I am hiring out the everybody else on the crew. And they are not working for me full-time. Some of those people might be working for me full-time, but majority would be just freelancers that I'm bringing out, and they're getting paid a day rate. And they will send me an invoice after the project is complete, or the shoot day is complete, or the shoot days are complete. And typically people would maybe have 30 days on their invoice of when they would like to be paid within that time. Now, if I have a deposit that was made for 50%, I will make sure I pay out all my crew first, all my expenses, before I pay myself anything. I want to make sure those things are taken care of, that I don't have to wait for the final payment to be able to cover that, because a lot of times working at post, that could be months and months away, depending on revisions and what the client's doing, or maybe they change paths. And sometimes you have a work back schedule that's maybe for a month after the shoot, but it can sometimes drag out a lot longer. So one way to help yourself is to get that 50% payment first, pay out your crew right away, get those things covered, your expenses covered. Hopefully your 50% covers at least majority of all your expenses, and then you can kind of move on that way. Now, if you get into a scenario where it doesn't, or you haven't got that in, or you're not getting that payment in time from the other client, and you don't have other revenue coming in where you can't make those payments on time to people, my really big tip for this is communication. People are a lot more lenient and understanding than you think, especially in the freelance world, because we're all used to these things and experiencing things, and usually we've all had the same kind of struggles. So if somebody asks you, and I would do it before they reach out to you, say when it's getting close to those 30 days, say, listen, I'm really sorry, I have not seen payment from the client. I'm hoping to see payment from the client soon, and as soon as I have it, I will have this transfer over to you. Having the communication going is a big deal, because what I've ran into before in the past with a few different people that subcontracted me to work for them, got me to go out for them to work as a whatever on set, or I was doing other post work for them, and they, we sent them an invoice, 2 months goes by, you see no payment. You send an email inquiring about payment, kind of polite email saying, hey guys, 30 days overdue, any idea on payment? And you get zero response. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this stuff. If you have, let me know in the comments before. Zero response. I've had this happen a few times. And a lot of times, or not a lot of times, a few times, I've had to go and be a bit more aggressive of what I was doing. In one scenario, I knew the client that they were working for. Now, they didn't like this at all, and I haven't done work with this person since, but I was okay with it because they were being very shady and difficult with me, and it was taking months and months I mean, I think it took over 6 months for me to get paid. But I went, this is after about 4 or 5 months, person would never respond to any of my emails. I went to their direct to their client that I knew, and I said, hey, was so-and-so ever paid for this? Because I was never paid for it. I sent an email just saying that to the client. The person emailed me, actually called me within about 20 minutes of me sending that email. The guy was furious. He said all these things. Why would you do that? Now, the person makes me look bad. And I said to him, dude, you haven't responded to an email from me about payments for the last 6 months. What am I supposed to do? What do you expect me to do? And then he started going on, well, all these issues that happened, and he got behind on things, and he had to steal from Peter to pay Paul, and unfortunately I ended up being Peter. All these things. And I said, man, if you had just explained that to me, if you just had the communication open and said to me, I would have been understanding. I would have said, okay, take your time, whatever it takes. Let's work this out. I'd love to help you keep going. But by not communicating at all, by saying, not answering emails at all, not addressing this situation at all, it causes a lot of problems. So what I want to say, one of these big tips in this, if you do get in a situation, and you likely will at some point because it's the nature of our business, especially on bigger jobs, sometimes it takes a long time to get payments coming in and slowness, some stuff. So sometimes it's going to take longer for you to pay out people than you were hoping to. And if you do get into a situation, just keep those lines of communication open. Maybe you don't have to be as completely transparent and say, like, whatever financial problems you're having, but just saying, listen, I'm waiting to get payment from the client. Please hold off and give me a bit of time here. I'm really working on this. Thanks for your understanding. I have a lot of times in the past where I'm seeing issues like that, and I had other cash flow coming in from other projects where I pay out my crew for that time before I'd even got that money in, just because I could kind of bridge it that way. And it could be tough as a small business to do this, but it is a good way to work. Very few times, I can probably count those, maybe one or two times, maybe 3 times, where I've been stiffed completely on a job where I went out and shot stuff, rented cameras, or brought out a crew member or a couple crew members, and I was never paid at all for that time. I still paid out those crew members. I had somebody once say to me that they didn't get whatever job, they didn't get paid for a job, so that's why they didn't pay me. That was one of the people that didn't pay me. And it wasn't my job. I was being subcontracted by them. That's not my problem. If you didn't get paid by the person, you hired me, you still have obligation to pay me. And so even though he said that to me and I didn't get paid from him, I still paid the PA that I hired underneath me to come out to work with me, and the camera assist that came out to work with me. I paid them both out of my pocket, and I lost money there because I wasn't paid for anything, plus I lost a day of time. Now, this happened very seldom, but it's just way of working with people, keeping your communication open, and we need to build our trust and build our name up. And word of mouth, as I talked about in another video, is one of the biggest things you need for getting jobs and getting referred to jobs. So you want to make sure that things are always good and you're keeping people happy. Just one of my tips on payments, managing payments, getting payments. Let me know, guys, what would you like to hear about? Is there other things within business and film and television and video business that you are struggling with or have questions with? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll get back to you on those in another video.